Selling in a niche industry is not the easiest thing to do. You only have so many competitors and you only have so many customers, and you still need to stand out. What is it you're going to say and how are you going to do it? Today, we're going to tackle that and help you to understand what you can do to be successful in a niche industry. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have a friend of mine. His name is Brian Uzcategui. And I've known Brian for, I want to say, go on like maybe 20 years now. He and I got a chance to connect when I was younger, and he was a little bit older than I was. And now he's successful in the paper industry, specifically in the toilet paper industry. He has several different some expertise in that field, and it's a very niche industry, first off. And when I got a chance to connect with him about what he does and how he does it, I was very curious how they found success being so confined. Essentially, you only have so many competitors and you only have so many customers. What is it you're going to do that's going to help you to stand out? And that's where I'm very curious, and that's where we're going to tackle this episode. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. Every time we drop a new piece of content, we're going to let you know. Our episode today is specifically around the prospecting side, standing out. But the concept that we share here can apply in matter whatever industry you're in. Now, the interesting factor, too, is I sold in a small niche industry. It was in the mobile X-ray services. And yeah, it was definitely, it definitely has some challenges selling in a niche, but there's some awesome opportunities for growth. And it's important that you don't burn any bridges. Brian and I are going to tackle some of that today. And as you listen to the episode, see how you can apply this to your industry and help your sellers, even if you're not in a niche. Check it out. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Donald. I'm so grateful to be here, part of it. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Well, I bragged about you in a teaser about experiences
Really?
for years now, and also how you're the top dog and awesome. So now you have to deliver some amazing content for us on this episode.
Hope so. Yep.
Well, you'll do it naturally. Brian, you work in our previous conversation, as we prepared for this episode, one of the things we talked about was selling or prospecting in niche industries and how that poses a problem at time. I sold in some niche industries, sold to city, county governments, and we sold document management. And it has a little bit of nuances, and sold in the mobile X-ray services. But one of the things is that there's only so many customers you can go after, especially when you're very niche, and it can be difficult to grab their attention. So running an organization like you have, I'm curious to kind of learn a little bit about what you do and some of the advice you could pass on to our listeners. Is that fair enough today?
Very, very fair. I mean, why don't I just do a quick little 1-second background to the niche industry?
Please.
So as you can see behind me, there's various different brands of toilet paper, paper towels, tissue paper, handkerchiefs, etc. So the niche industry is the tissue towel industry, which fits under the banner of pulp and paper, which fits under the banner of forestry. So as we keep knocking down the barriers, we end up into this really, really niche, very, very niche. You know, it's something that everybody uses every day, including yourself. It's something we take for granted at times, how important it is. And we've experienced the highs and lows of this during COVID, just recently 5 years ago, with the absorption of people consuming this thing that they don't really need too much of. Right. And so we only go to the bathroom so many times per day. We only blow our nose so many times per day. It's the same schedule. So back to your question. So selling into a very niche industry, in a niche industry, there's only so many suppliers of a certain thing. And there becomes to be a comfort level amongst your customers with their suppliers. So when in an industry like ours, where there's one or two or max three maybe of a supplier to a specific product to help that company manufacture or, supply to the end user. Everybody tries to put themselves in the number one position from 1 to 3. But sometimes you'll fall onto that 3 level with one customer, and the other customer you'll be a 1. And in the niche industry, everybody knows the prices, everybody knows the costs, everybody knows. So it's a people game. It's getting to know the person on a personal level. You cannot burn anybody, or take any customer for granted, because there's only so many, and your reputation will get out there very quickly if you do have a negative impression on any particular customer. So you can't risk losing one.
I didn't think about it in that sense, and that makes it's very logical now when you lay it out like that. A couple thoughts come to mind. So some of the things we discussed early on, Brian, was how you are tackling that problem. And I love what you mentioned about being a people's industry, like people's focus. And yeah, it's difficult to burn any bridges at that point. One of the things you mentioned was you make the geography more efficient. Number 2,
Yes.
you don't wing it. You have to focus on execution and training. And then number 3 was you made your website your best sales professional, which I'm very curious to learn a little bit more about. So let's talk about the first one there. Why is geography, what was that number 1 on your list, especially when selling in a niche industry?
In a niche industry like the tissue towel industry, a lot of the facilities that make our paper that we take for granted every day are located in areas that are so remote and so hard to get to via an airplane. You really have to be within driving distance to some of these places to be able to take care of them effectively. So this is where technology comes into play, where you can connect with your sales team on a daily basis. Text is no longer a modern commodity, but having the ability to video in and remote in, there's a lot of, in our industry, remote eyeglasses to be able to be on a machine and see what is happening at the customer's facility.
What?
Yes. So, our technician will wear glasses that you can remote back into, technical support, and you no longer have to put a person on a plane. And you can even have your customer wear the glasses and remote into the machine and analyze it that way. But you do need some proximity to your customer because of the let's call it the long distances, the difficulty in these facilities are fortresses. They're the largest one in the country is 2 square miles of floor space. Okay. And so you're traversing a lot of terrain. And so we try to put a person within 6 hours driving distance of any customer facility. Now we can't do that, with full-time people all the time. So we rely on agents as well, agent relationships, to make sure that customers are being taken care of when, there are even more remote places. So just for your listeners' curiosity, to make toilet paper, you need trees, you need water, you need a lot of electricity. So a lot of these facilities, almost all of them, have to be by a body of water. So you go up and down the Mississippi River, you go into the Great Lake, you go on the coasts of the country. And so geography plays a huge impact in all of your listeners' sales. Geography is a very important aspect to selling.
That's
Sure.
interesting. I didn't know those ingredients. I mean, I knew about the tree ingredient, but I didn't know water was such a
Yeah.
take up a large ingredient in the creation of paper. And that is just for the process, like recipe or cooling or what?
All of the above.
Got it.
All of the above. Yeah, it's a necessary component, and then you need to be able to release back into the waterway cleanly and effectively. So the pulp and paper industry and tissue towel, I'm proud to say, is probably at the forefront of cleanliness and environmental standards that we have in this country. We abide by all of them, and we're a very sustainable industry in that regards.
Interesting. You see, you get a lot of you get a lot of learn a lot here. So we want to tackle back on that, like the grabbing the attention part. Well, be
Mhm.
in the proximity help with several things. One, you just need to be there for your customers. Two, just makes your team more efficient because you just laid out the geography, and then going back on being able to stand out in that niche industry's relationship. Are you sending your sales reps, or do they do a lot of like networking at that point? And is that a necessity based on industry, in their
Yeah,
geography, or just help me understand how do they maximize that to be more successful?
yeah, it's a mix. So when you are in one of these large facilities, the one way that you know, and this modern generation is able to communicate is with telephones, but this is a very big distraction when you're operating heavy machinery. So you can't be on your phone while you're trying to process toilet paper. And the people that we're trying to contact or attract, they spend very little time behind a desk typing,
Gotcha.
So, a salesperson is on the floor in steel toe boot, proper PPE, had, earplugs because it's so loud in there. And they're going literally department to department to department. So it's a little bit old school
Hmm.
in that regard. And, the use of line cards is still, in modern day, it just depends who your audience is. So what the audience in this regard is people that are not able to be on their phone 24/7. They're on, during breaks, they're on when they have a meeting, but most of the time they're on the floor working
So
and it's operating.
here's my naivete. I was about to go Google it or Chat GPT. Line card. What's a line card?
Wine card. Oh man, I'm not ready for that. But basically all it is a pamphlet that has what you're selling.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
that's the terminology you would use for a traveling salesman line card.
Gotcha.
And that's the first thing people are going to ask you when you go up to the reception and they don't want to see you. Just
Give me
leave
a
your
line
line
card.
card and leave your business card.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I think, you mentioned that your audience is mostly tech based, right? And so you're talking about an industry like mine that is mostly still paper based and still very archaic in the way you communicate with your end user.
Talk to me about this idea of I love the statement. It's something that we follow a lot. Don't wing it, like not winging it.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me about why you're so passionate about this and how this helps your sales reps stand out and to be more successful in
Mhm.
this niche industry.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, so we say paper is printing money because if that machine stops, or if there's some part of that machine that is broken, you're literally losing thousands of dollars a minute. It's that much. So you have to factor in the person that you're going to go visit. Their time is extremely valuable, and you can't wing it because the first thing the guy's going to see, what are the 3 points you have for me today?
Mm.
Um, we're on a rotating, we see these people quarterly. The best customers will see 6 times a year max. So you get 6 shots, really impressing your contacts. And, we're dealing with maintenance folks on machines and they're greasy and they're dirty, they're tired, and you got to make it count. So you get 15, 20-minute max and you really want to maximize your time. So with each one of my sales folks that I work with, we rehearse prior. We print out order history, what they bought from us in the past. If there's some gaps there, why are there gaps? Did something change? Did the machine, go out of, did we take a machine out of operation, et cetera, et cetera. So you prepare before you go in, and those 15 to 20 minutes are maximized with high caliber conversion, you know,
Yeah.
for new stuff.
So that idea of practicing, is this an industry? I mean, like again, when you're looking at like such a small niche, I feel like it's like like this idea of inches, like running track, right? I ran track, and that's where I
Mhm.
could think about like you're winning an Olympic gold medal not by like seconds, by milliseconds, like at
Yeah.
that point, and that's
Yeah.
where I come to see it. So how do you best do that, especially with a remote team? And from what I get, some of your team members are a little bit more experienced and been around for a while, so seniority play maybe an interesting part in that. But how are you getting those people to not to practice and to do these role plays and to not fall into conformity, saying this is the way that I've done it for years? You know what I mean? Well, I'm making sense on this, Brian.
Yeah. I mean, it's an obvious mix. Sometimes they're gonna wing it. You can't control that when I'm not, or,
Yeah.
when I'm not present for that. But we heavily rely on, documentation. So when a salesperson is making the call, I require a call report back. They have to report back from their visit, and I can see whether that was a quality, visit or not, just based on that report. But you know, the way that they can instill that in their daily habits is them seeing me perform it that
Mm.
way. I become like the leader example. I don't just tell them to do it, but I show them how to do it. So I make the rounds with all of my salespeople to make sure, that they're instilling the stuff that we're practicing and training. We're spending money on to train them and to effectively have them reach their customer the best way they can. Because again, the attention span is so short. It's so short. If you have a 7-year-old kid, it's the same way. And we're not calling our customers kids, but
Yeah.
that's the amount of attention span they have to be able to be reached.
What is it that I'm saying? You mentioned like coming with the, they usually ask, what are your 3 points you got for me today?
Hmm.
Like I guess why would I, as working in a plant, want to get that? Like I guess what I'm trying to get at, you're coming to visit with me as a sales rep. What is it that you're going to say or give me that is not given by the other salesperson that's going to help me to
Yeah.
stand out, besides saying, hey, Donald, I'm cheaper than Joe?
Yeah. No, we don't say cheaper.
Yeah.
We got that's number
Go
one.
ahead.
We never cheaper. We always got to go in with something new. If it's a training, something in training that we can provide them, that's a 1 or 2 minute training, but we always got to come with something new, because if it's the same old, the guy's not going to want to see you
Yeah.
again next time. When you come in with something new, this is what happens almost every time. The guy will say, "Oh, I want you to show that to my guy over there on the floor." All of a sudden, your 20 minutes got expanded to 40 minutes. And then, you know, it's ways to stay around longer where you're not being a pest. You don't want to be friend zoned by the guy on the line, or the guy you're trying to sell to. You want to become, the relationship, the number one person in their mind. If you're showing them something new that's not adding any cost, or they're having to pay for it, and it's not costing you anything, but you're supporting your customer, they're excited for the next visit. They're ready to see you, because they know you're going to have something new for them the next time as well. So you become the exciting date.
Is that more like something that's going to help them to perform their job better, or is it new features about the product?
Both, but performing their job better and making their life easier. So they don't really want to worry about what I'm providing. They want to make sure that when I'm coming on their visit or on the visit, that their needs are going to be met, and they have one less thing to worry about when I'm around. I'm not there to add a burden to them. I'm there to support them. So right hand man kind of thought.
Brian, another thing you guys have that you battle with, and I'm very curious about this, is in your industry, ethics is important because
Hmm.
you are a very finite number of competitors. So I've been working with you for 10 years. Let's say I'm leaving, non-competes. Is that still a thing in your industry or not?
Non-compete is a thing in every industry, but everyone, interpretation of a non-compete is probably up to them. And how valid those are. I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't say, but we tend to stay away from proprietary information that gets volunteered to us. Someone, for example, will leave somewhere and say, "Hey, look, I know all the contacts at this place, but I'll only give it to you if you bring me on or pay me a commission or, hire me on as a consultant." We got to weigh all that stuff to, make sure that there's nothing ethically wrong happening. Again, because our industry is so small, if for some reason I were to accept something like that, the word would get out that, oh no, Brian is now accepting information from competitors and making it available for everybody. And then my name gets tarnished and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not an avenue to explore at all. There's other ways to get that type of information in a more ethical, logical, straightforward way than roundabout. There's no shortcuts, I would say.
And that goes back to this idea of winging it. Like,
Mhm.
I find this to be very, the industry to be very, we don't want to just classify it as like old school, but it's just like the standards, like, this is just
Mhm.
age old standards, practices, where you can't necessarily hide behind some of the technology.
Mhm.
Things will get exposed. One final thing I want to just, my curiosity is sparking on is you mentioned in our preparation call, you said you made your website the best salesperson. So now I'm like,
Yeah.
Brian, well, why do you need salespeople? If you made your
Yeah.
website your best salesperson, talk to me about that. And
Yeah.
what does that look like? And
Yeah,
what
that's
do
an
you do?
expression I use amongst our team all the time. I want the guys in the field to be able to close the deal, but not spending that much time having to research, who the contacts are, who are the people that I need to be talking to. We have the toolkit to close the deal. We just got to put it in front of the right person. So, we use various methods, and I won't get into the exact ones that we use or anything like that, but we make it a habit to make the website very accessible, very user friendly. And then the website doing the behind the scenes work to be able to search out, or, we buy ads in different regions of the country. We promote on various different industry websites as well. We participate in a lot of networking events that are based off of those websites. So our name is well known, and it is being able to be accessed appropriately versus our competition.
Love it.
So, mhm.
Um, do you do follow-ups, and you got to be critical with that follow-up. Can you talk to me about that? You say you
Yeah,
guys do
follow
follow-ups
up, I
as
think,
well.
is most important because the emails get buried. I mean, I always say that the inbox is the cemetery a lot of times, and you're very good at this as well. Because it gets the busy people, their emails get buried, they get flagged, and you eventually get back around to them, but you're only going to pay attention to the person that's contacting you without bothering you,
Yeah.
in a nice, effective way. Um, so follow up, I call it follow up Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is you're in the field, you're working, you're hitting it, you're getting all the quotes back for our inside sales team to be able to quote out. But Friday is follow up and CRM Friday.
Mm.
And Fridays are usually dead days at the facilities that we're working at anyway. That's a lot of their downtime. They're doing the repairs and stuff. And that's the most effective time to get people on their computer or on their phone. So yeah, follow up Friday is I should have it back there somewhere.
I like that follow-up Fridays. You
Yeah.
guys heard that? Maybe you can adopt that. Follow Fridays. For me,
Hashtag
Fridays
follow
is I tend to make it my less busier day doing work, that type of work, and then I do stuff, take care of things in the business or some of the visionary things. So it's a good call on
Yeah,
that.
don't you think that most people have the Friday as not a slough day, but it's a
Yeah,
more relaxed day where I can get to my email.
I know, man. You're getting ready to get out of here work early. So, Brian, if you have any tips for a brand new salesperson or a brand new sales leader in a niche industry, we talked about a lot of stuff today. If there's one
Yeah.
major piece of advice you want them to leave this episode with to be successful in a niche industry, what's that one piece of advice?
Yeah, I would say leader servant. I learned that methodology really early in my career where rather than being the guy that's yelling at everybody and being the boisterous, obnoxious sales leader, be the leader servant, be the one that's exemplary in the way you deal with your customers and the way you deal with your salespeople. Be the leader that people want to serve, and be the service oriented type leader. And that comes a little bit from, some religious thinking back behind that a little bit, but it goes a long way. And I've really valued that in my career. And I think if more people take that approach, you'll have more success.
Love it. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. If somebody's listening, want to get a hold of you or connect with you, whether to pick your brain further or even to just chat, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
LinkedIn, I'm all over it. You can follow me. LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me. I got the crazy last name. Who's got the key is the easiest way to remember that. If you want to learn about toilet paper or know more about toilet paper, hit me up on LinkedIn. That's the best way.
All right, Brian, before we go, this is the last thing. This is a personal one now, and probably the most important question. Which brand is the best toilet paper?
Oh, I cannot divulge that.
I knew you were going to say that.
I can't say it. It's personal preference for sure. Whatever makes you comfortable, but there's a lot of good value out there in anyone you select, you'll be fine. I represent a whole industry that, counts on me to support them. So cannot divulge that.
And then the final one again for me here. Now with the rise of the wipes, I see this across most of those companies. Is that produced the same exact way? I mean, obviously not. One is dry, one is wet. But I see Charmin still producing the wipes and so forth. But are you guys taking a part of that market with your industry, with the solutions you sell?
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming a cousin to toilet paper, right?
Got it.
Yeah, this is very personal to you, but when you use a wet wipe, you need to get dry as well, right? There's got to be right? You know where I'm going with that? So there's a symmetry there. There's there's something there to it. But most toilet paper brands have accepted that customers do want a wet option. So they've branded their own wet wipe. So it's not even wet wipe, it's called a flushable wipe.
Yeah.
There's a big distinction because you don't want to stick wet wipes in the toilet because they're going to clog.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure it's flushable. And so, there's some cohesion there between the dry and the wet. And I agree, there's a need for both, and not one is exclusive from the other. So I think, on the wipe side, I think they're trying to push, we no longer need toilet paper, but as a user, I don't see how you can get away from that.
Nah, unless it's a bidet, but either way, you still need some dry stuff there too. So
you got to get dry. Yeah.
Well, Brian, this is awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show today, enlightening us. And maybe after we stop recording, I'll figure out what's the best TP. Thanks so much, Brian.
Yes. I'll fill you in. Love it.
That was Brian Uzcategui. If you want to learn more about Brian, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. And he did not, I was trying to get from him the best toilet paper. He didn't tell me. But and I would love to learn what you feel that is. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly. Donald C. Kelly, drop me a message and tell me what the best toilet paper in your views is. Listen, I want you to thrive and I want you to succeed. One of the things that we have to help you out is our sales tool. It's called prospectpro.io. Again, prospectpro.io. It allows for you to, it's something I use on a daily level, but it allows for you to be able to track your day-to-day performance, to help you to be able to understand what your ratios are, how many outreaches it takes before you get an appointment, how many appointments for a proposal, and so forth. If you'd like to check it out, you can find more details. Go to prospectpro.io. Again, that's prospectpro.io. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. Most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking. I want you to go out and do big things. See you on the next one.